Hello, everybody. How you doing? Hi, Diva. Sorry. Uh, Sometimes I'm not good at name pronunciations. This is Jim Gonzalez, EDI Support LLC. It's another Wednesday here in Pennsylvania. Looks like it's going to rain again. It's a little cloudy, getting a little cooler. I'm going to have to soon put the shorts away and start wearing jeans and maybe a long sleeve shirts. But I hope you're all doing well. Today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about EDI myths, the SMBs or the small to mid market should stop believing. There's a lot of EDI myths that are out there. But before I start, what I want to do is I'd like to ask, the people that are listening, watching, all of those things, to give us any type of comments, any type of things that you want to learn about, any of those type of stuff. I'm trying to always come up with fresh content, trying to always come up with things that we can talk about that people are wanting to know about. I'm glad you're doing well. So anybody that's not seeing it, there's comments that are coming in. As I like to acknowledge people that have their comments. I'm doing well. I'm glad you're doing well. So with that being said, what I would love to know is, what are your thoughts? What are the things that you're thinking about? What are the things that you'd love to understand and know about? Share those in the comments, share those things throughout, and I'll try to address them as best I can. Again, I don't know everything. I'm giving it from my vantage point, things that I've talked about, things that I've seen, things that I've heard, projects that I watch my team deal with, all of those things. Salesforce. Okay, not sure what that means. What about Salesforce? What do you got going on? What kind of questions do you have about Salesforce? I'm focused on EDI, API integrations. So, with that being said, everybody must have heard the news about Elevate. It's our new cloud EDI platform developed specifically for SMBs to help with the stress, make it simple, transparent, and fully supported by my team. So wonder who's all excited for it. We'll keep talking about it as time goes on, but let's get to the topics. So myth number one that a lot of people think that they need to address concerns. EDI takes months to set up. That's a myth. EDI onboarding always takes 6 to 9 months. People say that all the time. It's months upon months just to set up EDI and how to do EDI. It's not really months. EDI does not always have to take 6 to 9 months. It depends on the number of trading partners, how complex the migration of it is, what's needed, what's the overall project scope. Is there an ERP integration that is unusual? Is it a custom ERP that we're going into? Is it a known commodity ERP that we're going into? Is it a known system? A lot of the legacy providers will tell you that it takes months upon months to get things set up because they want to give you that complex feeling. Also with legacy providers, they have multiple projects in the pipeline. So they would sometimes drag timelines for small businesses with a few trading partners while they address the larger enterprise businesses. So it all depends on where you fall in their list. Where they see your project as being completed. The beauty of, I can tell you how we run our organization is it's first come, first serve. I don't care if you're a startup or you're a 22 billion or $30 billion entity, it's first come, first serve. So resources are allocated as the job comes about. So I'm going to stop there real quick. We're going to show one of the comments. How we can do automation on Salesforce. Salesforce has API. So there's API capabilities inside of Salesforce. Salesforce also has their AI agents and all of those type of things. What I would suggest is do a little bit deep dive into Salesforce. There's resources that are out there. You can look at Udemy, that's Udemy. A lot of people go there to check out free courses or jump into some paid courses. They're typically not that expensive, but I'm sure if you type in Salesforce, you'll be able to see things there. I'm not a sponsor of Udemy. I'm just used it in the past for myself. So next is myth number 2. EDI requires a big IT team. Let's think about that. You need a big in-house EDI/IT team to manage compliance. That's also false. Most SMBs don't have an IT team. Maybe they have one IT person or a part-time IT person, or it's outsourced and they're using some type of MSP, a managed service provider, whatever that looks like. So most SMBs don't have the bandwidth. And they also don't have the bandwidth to hire EDI professionals or people that have dealt with EDI projects in the force. So a lot of the times they're looking to your managed provider to help them. So managed providers came into existence because of that exact problem. Are they fulfilling this exact need for the SMBs? A lot of times, I doubt it. A lot of times your MSPs and your in-house person or team, they don't have EDI experience or API experience and all of those things, especially when you're in the SMB world. So you want to look for a partner or somebody that's going to help you. You're going to look for somebody that you can outsource your EDI to a true managed, or what I like to think of as an outsourced EDI department. A lot of people call themselves a managed provider or a managed platform. You got to really delve into the details of that. What are they hiding behind? What are they truly doing for you? All of those things. You don't need a big IT team, but you do need a good partner. You need somebody that's going to help you. You need somebody that's going to be there by your side. You shouldn't be chasing them. If you are, you got to move to a platform that can truly help. Somebody that's going to truly spend the time and dedicate the time. Doesn't matter the size of your organization. And that's one of the things that we did with the development of, not to make it salesy, but of Elevate, is just because too many managed providers, managed platforms, any of those things, they weren't doing that. Like, there's companies that literally are hiring my team from a consulting standpoint to be a knowledge broker. So you don't need a big IT team. You just need somebody that's going to help you. You need real human support. You need somebody that's going to answer the emails. You don't need a ticketing system or an AI generated response that might even get you more lost into what you're trying to do. So just know, you just got to do research, and you got to find the right team or people to help you. Myth number 3. I have to go with only a certain EDI provider because our retailers ask us to do EDI and they say you have to use them. That's a myth. It's a big time myth. Reality is you can use whoever you want. And I'm going to throw them out there and I'm going to say this. SPS Commerce is notorious for telling from their sales aspect that you have to utilize them. When you delve in and you dig deeper, you'll find out that that's not true. I've heard it for myself. As crazy as it is, I've been on those calls in the background and I've heard them say, well, you have to use us because your retailer is using us, or because it's not true. It's the farthest thing from the truth. Just because somebody uses an organization as their EDI provider does not mean you have to also use them. They might require you to do testing, which is another whole scheme that goes on. So you have to just really delve in, have somebody by your side, have somebody maybe sit in on those phone calls and help you with that to truly know, is it a myth or is it a truth? And again, we have a Discord server out there. There's Reddit. There's, all these things and resources that you can hop into and just ask these questions. And you're going to get multiple responses. Sometimes it's going to be me. Sometimes it's going to be multiple other organizations or people that are out there. Do your due diligence, talk to them, find out who fits that model for you. You really want to see What does your budget look like? What's the affordability? What's the efficiency? All of those things. Check off the boxes. And if you don't know what boxes you need to check off, reach out to me. I'll send you documents that basically say, hey, are these questions that you thought about? Are these things that you thought about when you're reviewing people, teams, companies, all of those things? So a lot of things that I also hear is EDI is just for enterprises. Only large organizations ever do EDI. Again, that's another myth. Like I literally just talked to an organization that's getting into pharmaceuticals. You know, they're getting into more of the EDI aspect in that space. They know, because they've worked at other companies, that they know EDI needs to be a part of their business plan, because in the pharmaceutical space, it's going to be there. Like when you're dealing with drugs and distributions and manufacturing and all of those wonderfulness, just because you're little and you're just a new person on the block doesn't mean you better start off with an EDI initiative, just like in retail. You know, a lot of different industries, you're going to eventually have to do EDI. And just remember, EDI is electronic data interchange. It can be X12, it can be UCS, it can be Edifact, Tradecoms, XML, CSV files, whatever it can be. Okay. So you can, the myth is we can start doing EDI when we have attained a certain revenue growth, and SMBs don't need or can't afford EDI. Think about that. Some EDI providers have made it seem as though it is tough or unattainable, unaffordable and unattainable to do EDI for a small business. It's not true. I tell small businesses and I tell companies all the time, you're going to do, one of my usual sayings is, you're going to do the crawl, walk, run, and that could be in a 6-month period, or it could be over a two-year span. It all depends on how quick your business adapts. But maybe you start off in a non-integrated, you know, web EDI style and format, and then you eventually plan out to move to an integrated. Or maybe your focus is to have less staff members and you want to get integrated right out the gate, because you're like, hey, listen, I know where this is going to eventually go. I want to start integrated so that we get used to the business process. We get used to the automation. We get used to all of those things. And I can keep my staff smaller because I don't have people doing manual entry to get orders into a system, or get invoices out, or invoices in, or shipments out, or claims processed, or whatever it looks like in the industry that you're a part of. So think about that. You know, the reality is every business who sells stuff can do EDI. Start with one partner, scale it as you grow. You need to find an EDI provider that truly helps you to grow and wants to be a partner. You know, like I said, I've known the individuals that are at the pharmacy company, pharmacy organization, and basically they've worked with me in the past and my team in the past. That's how they reached out to us. And they basically said, you know, we're looking for a partnership. We're looking for somebody that's going to help us to grow and grow with us and do all of those things. And I can say that that can look any which way you want it to. You know, again, you know, purpose-built. Elevate was purpose-built for SMBs and the mid-market companies. You know, our pricing is tiered. It's transparent. It's there. You know, you want to know it, go to our website. You want even more details, come to me. I have no problem sharing it. I have no problem sharing it with the competition that's out there, because guess what? Most of my competition that's out there against Elevate won't share it, and they won't send it. And they'll talk in riddles, and they'll talk in terms of, oh, well, we have to meet to really discuss what you need. Shh. No, listen. I mean, I'm going to be transparent. I got my director of sales, or not director of sales. Oh my God. Director of support. Sarah, you might become director of sales. You never know. As crazy as I am. My director of support doing demos and talking to people, and they get to talk to me. And you're talking to two individuals that are highly technical, that have been doing this for decades. And she's demoing Elevate. So you got to look at your partner and look at who's behind those closed and paid gates, and who's just being open and transparent. So myth number 5, support, as we talk about, support is always a ticket queue. It doesn't need to be, doesn't have to be. They just choose to make it that way. Behind the scenes, I don't even use a ticketing system. We have no ticketing system. We have a bunch of clients, a bunch of support that comes through. We just happen to do it differently. And we happen to keep our clients happy, because customer service is our focus. I always tell my team, listen, support trumps projects, because support is a business that is running live, needs help, needs assistance. And again, we don't care what size you are. We're here to make sure that your business is taken care of and that you're up and running. So when they do have a ticketing queue, a lot of times what you'll run into is you'll run into long waits, you'll run into faceless support, you'll run into all of those things that seem to have become industry standard. But when I first got into this world of EDI, that wasn't how it was. Customer service was the focus. You got to talk to people. There weren't ticketing systems. There weren't all these different systems to track and respond. And sometimes I think these companies get lost in all of that corporate aspect. Now, are we putting in corporate aspects into EDI Support LLC? Yes. But it's more geared towards project management. It's more geared to resource allocation. It's more geared to knowing, as the owner, when I need to bring on more staff members, when we need to ramp up, so that I'm making sure that we're meeting our SLAs, that I'm making sure that everybody's staying happy. When you have support that's always a ticket queue, you're going to have slow resolution, lost revenue. You're going to have, you shouldn't be waiting on a call to talk to a rep. If it's an urgent issue, it's taking days to resolve. You're missing out on a compliance. The SLAs aren't being met. You're not meeting SLAs with your retailers or the different companies that you're trying to work with. So you're going to get chargebacks. You're going to get penalties. You're jeopardizing your business relationship. Again, support doesn't need to be a ticket queue. You need real people to talk to. You need to know that, hey, when I send in an email, I'm going to get a response in a reasonable amount of time. Ours is 2 hours or less. As long as it's done during the business hours. We don't run 24/7. I expect my people to take breaks, get sleep, do all of those things. So thank you for being a part of it. You have to drop under urgent work. I understand. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. So yeah, don't forget to hit us up with any questions. And again, you are welcome. Thank you for attending. So as we're going through and as we're looking at these different things, you have to understand that a lot of this is controlled by these entities. They don't have to do what they do. It's just a reality. So myth number 6, I will be stuck with multi-year contracts. Lock-in is unavoidable. Switching is too disruptive. Again, those are all myths. The reality is contracts protect the providers, not the customers. Again, going back to the pharmacy organization, they had asked about, what do our contracts look like? And I said, listen, we don't have to have a contract in place if you don't want a contract in place. It's up to you. The reason I put contracts in place when it comes to our consulting agreements is just so you know what our responsiveness is, what our SLA is, what we cover, how much you're going to pay per hour. And that's dealing with our consulting agreements. When it comes to Elevate, I don't require a contract. There is no contracts. We go with the, as I say, the partnership model, or winning your business on a constant. And if you ever want to move away from Elevate, we'll help you. Listen, I'm not going to lock you in. I'm not going to hold your data. I'm not going to do all those things to restrict you. I'm going to help you move away from our product because it wasn't a good fit, or you're not a good fit for us. So it works both ways. I hate that, contracts auto renew, until you cancel it. Some of them have 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, months that you need to make them aware before you can move away. Why is that? Because typically their shareholders are watching them for revenue stake. So if they're not providing revenue and they're not hitting their marks, and those contracts they can look at and they can go, oh, well, this is what we have on the books under contract, and this is what we should make. They makes them look like a better investment. It makes their numbers look better to report to investors. So understand those things when it comes to contracts. I really think a provider should earn your business every month. It's old school mentality. It's the way that I think of things. Myth number 7, all EDI providers are the same. Heard that. They're all horrible. They're all difficult to work with. They're not. They're not all the same. The reality is this can feel like it, but that means you haven't spoken to the right ones who go the extra mile for their customers. They provide on-time service, take care of your onboarding, and implement successfully without causing a hassle. They're truly your partner. There's somebody that's sitting there to want to see you succeed, because if they see you succeed, it also helps them to succeed. As a company owner and somebody that rolled out a brand new platform, my focus again is still towards customer service. I'm not looking to sell my company anytime soon, even though I keep having people hit me up. I'm not interested. Wish you the best. I'm not interested. One of the big things that people always say to me is, why do you do it? And I do it because I truly want to help. I've been blessed that, my family and our 3 girls are all taken care of. We're all doing well. From a financial aspect, everything's good. So I get to pick and choose what I do. And some people, have looked at my content and said, oh, well, I don't like your content. I don't like what you're doing. Okay, cool. Then don't watch it. Like, I do this to help. I do this to educate. I'm doing this to just make people aware. You can look at it from any different way and any different aspect, but it's here to just help. So I have to throw this out there. Craig actually commented on LinkedIn and shared this. Craig, here we go. Myth number 8, you must use a van to connect with us. That is a huge myth. So Craig, thank you for reminding me, because you'll find some trade partners actually say, oh, you have to use a van. No, you don't. How do you think they're connecting to a van? AS2, FTP, SFTP, some type of communication protocol to get the data from the van. So it's not going to magically appear in that trading partner's system. So do you have to use a van? No, you don't have to. Some EDI trading partners actually don't tell you this. The more business you do with them, all of a sudden they allow direct connection. Oh, well, we first started you off with van, but now we can go to AS2 or FTP or SFTP. So if you're in a power position, as I like to refer to it, you can sometimes dictate to that trading partner, hey, listen, we're going to correct you directly, or we're not going to do EDI with you, or we're not going to sell our products to you, or we're not going to do, we're not going to accept your insurance. Whatever that looks like, if you're in a power position, guess what? You get to dictate that. A lot of people and a lot of trading partners do use vans still. Is there certifications to become a van? No, that's one of my big pet peeves. We're trying to get Elevate to be looked at as a van, because guess what? We do just the exact same things that any van is out there. We can make connections. We can store data. We can have historical information. We can manage all your certificates. We can do all of those wonderful things with Elevate. But certain vans that are out there, Sterling, throwing you out there because we tried to say, hey, listen, let us make that connection with you. And Sterling said, sorry, we're not accepting any new vans. So it's almost like a closed circuit. And the funny part is there's no certifications to become a van. So what are your requirements to call myself a van? If anybody can supply that, let me know. I would love to see what I have to do to make sure that Elevate is a van. But back to trading partners allow you to connect directly. They're utilizing a van to manage all of their connections, all of their certificates, all of those things, and all of those connection relationships so that they don't have to do it in-house. That's why they outsource to a van. Vans come in many different flavors. Some do translation, some don't. Some just store documents. Some just do communication. Some do certificates. Some create certificates. There's all kinds of different vans that are out there. But what I'm getting at is ultimately you can establish a connection to a trading partner, however the trading partner allows you to do it. Whether that you have to use a VAN to make that interconnect or connection, or a direct connect, AS2, FTP, SFTP. Those are the common ones that you're going to use for a direct connection. So I hope I provided you some insights and a lot of information on what we're doing, what's going on, what are the myths that are out there. Again, if there's anything that you come up with that you would love for us to talk about, please comment, share, like, subscribe, do all of those things across all of our different social media aspects, the YouTube, the LinkedIn, the Facebook, the Discord server, anything that you can think of, put it out there, and I'll try to give you insight or address it. But I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you at a different time. Take care. Bye-bye.